What's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Tricky Jim at Full Grip Games. Today I'm going to be showing off a new archetype out of Sword and Shield. We have got Rillaboom Boombox. It's been gaining quite a bit of hype lately online. Its ability, Voltage Beat. Reads once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 grass energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. Very similar to Vikavolt, which was played in Vika-Ray a couple of years ago. Similarly, you spring the Rillaboom into play and then you flood your field with grass energy using the Voltage Beat ability. Unlike Vika-Ray, we have got an awesome new way to get this Rillaboom into play. Super Growth, the free attack on the Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor, allows you to spring a grass-type Pokemon from your bench into a fully evolved Pokemon. So awesome for evolving up your Grookey into Rillaboom, but this Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor also has some very powerful attacks. Calming Hurricane does 150 damage for 3 energy, perfect, just a manual attachment, and a Voltage Beat acceleration and heals 30 damage from itself, making it a pretty tanky Pokemon. But then Tropical Hour GX. To be honest, I had no idea what the second half of Tropical Hour GX did, and I finished in the top 16 of a regional with this card, but I had never ever announced Tropical Hour GX for the second half of the attack before, so I was very surprised to read that if this Pokemon has 3 extra energy attached to it, I usually stop reading right there because I'm like, I'm never getting 6 energy on this thing. But with this deck, it's very possible. Your opponent shuffles all energy from all of their Pokemon into their deck. So Tropical Hour GX can be very good against decks like Pikarom, against decks like Zacian ADP. Very strong attack and not very hard to get 6 energy into play. Can completely swing the momentum of a game. All you have to do is Super Growth into a Rillaboom, and then sometimes you can get 2 Rillabooms into play, which makes the Tropical Hour GX very easy. But then, of course, you can just Voltage Beat a couple of times, manually attach a couple of times, and then with a well-timed Tropical Hour GX, just sweep the remainder of the game. What's scary about the Tropical Hour GX is the 1-2 punch you get with Shaymin Prism Star, because once you get enough energy in play to Tropical Hour GX, you remove all of your opponent's energy from play, shuffle it all back to the deck. So usually the Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor does not get punished after that. To ensure that it doesn't, we've got a couple copies of Big Charm in the deck to make your Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor very big. And then you can just pivot to a Shaymin Prism Star and really just go one-hit knocking out anything that your opponent may have in play with Flower Storm, which does 30 damage times the amount of basic energy attached to all of your Pokemon, of which you're going to have plenty because you're going to be using Voltage Beats every turn. The Dhelmise V is a nice little attacker there for just 1 energy. Sometimes you don't have the energy you need. If something gets knocked out, you could just Anchor Anger for 1, which deals 120 damage. Also, just a nice vanilla 3 energy for 200 is very good sometimes, especially on a 2 prize Pokemon with 220 hit points. So that Dhelmise V, very powerful too. Copy of Dedenne, and then Venusaur and Snivy-GX, one of the all-stars of the deck, for its Shining Vine ability. Reads once during your turn. If this Pokemon's your active Pokemon, when you attach a grass energy card from your hand to it, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. So free Gust with manual grass attachment from hand with the Venusaur and Snivy-GX. Very powerful for sure. And I love all the grass attackers in this deck. It works pretty smoothly. I like that we have 4 copies of Switch in the deck. It allows for you to pull off some pretty cool plays with the Shining Vine. Shaymin Prism Star, also essential for its free retreat. Great for Mallow and Lana. You could just pivot with the Shaymin Prism Star and go back up with the same attacker turn after turn. We are using the Tag Call engine in this deck, which I think is very strong since it's going to allow you to grab cards like Mallow and Lana, which is very good in this deck, as well as Cynthia and Caitlin, and of course your Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutors to Super Growth into your Rillabooms as quickly as possible. I think this deck also uses Marnie fantastically as well, since you're going to be able to throw grass energy or Rillabooms from your hand back into the deck so that you can Super Growth them into play. But just great for conserving resources in general. And then just a couple copies of Professor's Research, since usually we're not going to want to just waste all of the stuff in our hand, and especially grass energy and the like. We have to be careful with not running out of resources in that way. To make sure that we don't run out of resources, we do have an Energy Recycler, which we can, for the most part, be careful with to make sure that we don't discard with Research, since there are only 2. Usually you can save the Energy Recycler for the right moment if you do need to throw more grass energy from the discard pile back into the deck in order to charge up with Voltage Beats. But that's enough about the Rillaboom deck. Let's get into some gameplay and see this deck in action. Now, I've seen some copies of the Rillaboom deck play other cards such as Rayquaza GX. You can also play Weakness Guard Energy. You can play Guzma and Hala. There are a lot of different ways to play this deck, hence the kind of toolbox name, right? I mean, we're calling it Boombox right now, obviously, because of the fact that Rillaboom, Boombox, haha, very funny. But the toolbox nature of this deck, in all seriousness, makes it so that you can really just play whatever attackers pair well with Voltage Beat that you would like. So because of that, you could play Rayquaza GX. Of course, you would have to play a copy of Lightning Energy as well to really make that work. My kind of thought process is that you don't necessarily need Rayquaza GX in this deck, because Rayquaza GX not only takes the lightning type energy, which makes it a little bit more inconsistent, but also just has the same attack as Shaymin Prism Star. So I'd much rather just use Shaymin Prism Star as that big swing attacker late in the game. Once you have all of your energy in play, I think that it's more realistic to be able to attack with a Shaymin Prism Star than to rely on getting Rayquaza GX out. And I don't think that you necessarily need two attackers that have that same attack. I think for the most part, you're going to be a deck that sets up pretty slowly. You take a couple of turns to really establish your board position and try to get the Rillaboom set up, and then you're going to start swinging. Late in the game, you can really get in there with Shaymin Prism Star and make some big one-hit KO plays. But I'm not totally convinced of the Rayquaza GX yet. I've also seen some versions of the list playing Guzman, Hala, and Weakness Guard Energy. Oh my gosh, what a rip there. The Zacian V turn 1, 3 energy on it? Okay, wow, that is... you have a good deck. Well done. This is a great start for us. I can actually just go get the guaranteed turn 1. We can tag call, and I'm really enjoying all of, let's see. Yeah, we don't even need all that. I could just Marnie them, which is pretty neat. Also could research, which is also pretty neat. And just see a ton of cards that way. So I think I am going to get 2 of these. It looks like I have prized my Venusaur and Snivy Tag Team GX. And really, I just need to survive. Now, I'm assuming that this is an Arceus Dialga Palkia version of Zacian V over here. So maybe they won't just go kind of gung-ho swinging in with their Zacian V on turn 2. And we'll still try to cook up the Arceus Dialga and Palkia. That is kind of my hope here. But I'm thinking that we are going to just go into this guy and then research this hand. I could Marnie there, but I want to make sure that I have plenty of resources to be able to last the next few turns. So let's just go here, and then we are going to Super Growth our Grookey. I think I might as well put another Grookey into play just in case. And then we are going to get popping here with our Rillaboom. So we're really just hoping that next turn my opponent does not just dive in there too aggressive with the Zacian V. That could really sting. Now granted, they are not going to be dealing a ton of damage with the Zacian V quite yet. I mean, okay, they're going to be dealing 230 damage, which is a lot, but they're not going to be dealing 260 unless they use Arceus Dialga and Palkia. So there might be some motivation for my opponent to use Arceus Dialga and Palkia in order to set up so that they can boost the Zacian's damage. But this is actually looking like it might just be a Lucario and Melmetal version of Zacian V, judging by the Duskmane Necrozma, which could be a little bit problematic. Duskmane Necrozma and its Dusk Shot attack is good at weakening up Pokemon GX, and my opponent is showing absolutely no reservations about just diving in with Brave Blade as quickly as possible. They're also trying to get some power plants to stick, which shouldn't be too terrible, except for the fact that I do play the Venusaur and Snivy Tag Team GX. However, that is prized. So not a huge problem for us. What I'm going to try and do is just get ourselves a Tropical Hour GX. I mean, we need to try and wow, okay. It's fine. Rillaboom going down. Double custom catcher off the Marnie for 5. That really stings. And I can honestly swing in with Anchor Anger if I want to. It is just like a nice little 1 energy pop there. So we could do that. I only have 1 Rillaboom left in the deck though. Now I was playing a copy of Ordinary Rod in the deck originally. I think I'm just going to hope that they don't quite have that play cooked up again and go in with the super growth here. So I'm gonna go here, super growth, try to just buy some time. We'll Cynthia Caitlin first. I'm gonna Cynthia Caitlin and discard the quick ball. Get ourselves Marnie back. See some cards. Big Charm is good. We can put another grass energy here, and I think I'm just going to super growth the Rillaboom into play. You know, if they knock out my Rillaboom again, there's not really a lot I can do to prepare for that. So I think Shaymin Prism Star can also live here. The Big Charm can live here, and we are just going to super growth and throw that second Rillaboom line into play. And if that gets gusted out and KO'd, then we are certainly in a problematic spot. Now, this is a very aggressive Zacian start here. Usually the Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia versions are not doing anything till turn 3, which is kind of the space that this Rillaboom deck was really able to kind of pop up and prosper on Pokemon Trading Card Game Online, with all of these Zacian ADP decks running about and just not being aggressive, not doing anything for the first couple turns of the game. This deck really prospers when that is the situation, because you have time to super growth, you have time to start accelerating energy into play, and so on and so forth. Now, with your attacker, you know, your main support Pokemon, rather, getting gusted up and just blasted with a Brave Blade turn 2, you don't really have a lot of great options. And I'm thinking here, do we really just give up the Dhelmise? I mean, kinda. It's not the worst thing. That, or I give up the Shaymin Prism Star, which also feels bad. I certainly can't give up the Dhelmise V. I could let my opponent swing into my Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor and then force them to knock out another one. Either way, it is pretty rough. I think we're probably just giving them the Dhelmise V at this point. And trying to, they might not have it. I mean, they need to have a switch as well. They can't Brave Blade multiple turns in a row without switch. So they might be stuck in the active and could have been a little bluff. Not sure, but I am playing 4 copies of Switch in this particular version of the deck, so I'm not terribly worried. Could also just Giga Hammer, which is good, and deal a vanilla 200 damage. However, this thing does have a gnarly grass resistance too, in addition to the metal frying pan. So 200 damage very quickly becomes 140. Not quite as much. However, it does set up some nice 2-hit KOs for us. They do have the switch. So this Dhelmise V is going down, and Absol. I think I have no hope of winning this game unless I can build up a 6 energy Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor. So we are going to be working on that this next turn. I've got Marnie to limit their hand. This is getting out of hand very quickly. Turn 2, Gust knockouts on my Rillaboom. Turn 3, Dhelmise V going down. Alrighty then. Well, keep calm and carry on. We've got Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor. I'm going to use Voltage Beats and accelerate some energy to it as well. And we're just going to Marnie my opponent to 4 and hope that they can't do much out of it. Now we've got another Swell. And I think our best Pokemon to leave active could just be Shaymin Prism Star. It's a free retreater. If they knock out my Shaymin Prism Star, it's unfortunate, but I don't think that putting up any of these other guys is necessarily better. If I put the Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor up, I get hit for 230 and then potentially just get, you know, Duskmane Necrozma knocked out. So I think here we're just going to pass with the Shaymin Prism Star. No. I think we... Oh, the Absol is going to be, you know, a pain to play around as well. I think... Yeah, he ain't got it like that. He ain't going to have the switch again as well. I want to save the switch in my own hand and the Marnie just in case I want to draw cards or something. So we're just trying to hope that my opponent does not have the switch they need. Tag Call can grab Mallow and Lana then, and they could just aggress with the Zacian V again. Fortunately, I am in a situation where I can GX. However, they have not used a single Metal Saucer yet. So that GX attack is going to have to carry me quite a way here. And I don't think that it will. I think that they are just getting out of the gates very quickly with the Zacian, and my setup deck, poor setup deck, is having a tough time with it. Now, going into the Jirachi lets me know that they probably just have a switch already in their hand if they can afford to Mallow and Lana for nothing and then just pivot into Jirachi. That, or they're not interested in knocking out my Shaymin Prism Star, but I definitely think that they have the escape port. Good. Definitely think that knocking out the Shaymin is probably good for them. However, I wanted to see if I could... Yeah, if I could spare the Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor at all so that I don't just get cleaned up by a Duskmane Necrozma. So we're really hoping that they have a tough time responding to my Tropical Hour GX because it's all I really got going for me. So we'll get the 6th energy going here. 3, 4, 5, 6. And Voltage Beat. Put some energy here. And we'll save our Tag Call. Marnie us both down to a lower hand size. And we've got double Big Charm on our final 2 dudes. Just hoping that they can go the distance. So here we go, Tropical Hour GX. And hoping 140 damage. Yikes, that's not nearly enough. And hoping that that can go the distance. Now next turn I could do, what was I saying, -6? Oh my gosh, yeah, that resistance -30. I always forget it's -30 now. And then imagine if they use Lucario and Melmetal, I'm doing almost no damage to this thing, which would be obscene. If they strip the Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor of all of its energy using Lucario Melmetal GX, that would be pretty devastating. And like we saw earlier, my sniping, the Venusaur and Snivy Tag Team GX does have a snipe attack, but no, the catcher effect there on the Shining Vine ability would be very useful for bringing up threats on my opponent's bench. Got Metal Saucer to juice up this guy, and the thing is I just don't know if we can heal enough damage from a Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutors every turn. They're going to use an Intrepid Sword to start building up a second Zacian. No bonus energy there, but you know, we're stuck without. Maybe Rayquaza GX would be the sauce at this point. They do only have 2 prizes remaining though, so maybe not, but it could be that end game sweeper that I think Shaymin was supposed to be in this game. So got Calming Hurricane for only 90 damage. 90 plus 140 is just enough, thank goodness. So that does check out. We can grow our hand size this turn. I think we're just going for a Marnie back from the discard pile, so we can Cynthia Caitlin, and I'm going to just go ahead and grab that Marnie back and save the Tag Call. Just save my options going into the next couple of turns. I just want to guarantee myself a Marnie, and there's not really any point in accelerating more energy into play. So we're just going to Calming Hurricane and barely get that knockout with the resistance and everything, and only getting 2 prizes there feels really bad. We're going to take some foul treatment here from the Zacian, and we're only doing 90 if it wears the pan. We're only doing like 90 damage a turn. So we're going to hope that they don't get a pan on so that we can at least deal 120, which is a 2-hit knockout. We'd have to Marnie them again. Hope that they don't have a response. But at this point, I feel like I am getting kind of powered out of this game by the Zacians just because we can't do a lot of damage to them. But we will see. I will say in this game in general, they just had a very strong start, and I think that's okay if our stage 2 deck is not able to deal with getting our stage 2 Pokemon just gusted out and KO'd like on the second turn before we even get to play our second turn. So that's just a very stellar start from my opponent, and I'm kind of willing to just chalk it up as that. Usually you get to really rely on that Shaymin Prism star at the end of the game and can, you know, surprise in and take a big knockout on a Zacian or something like that, you know, use Marnie, reset the hand to low, and go from there. Also, just having cards like Venusaur Snivy in the deck and not prized would be very strong for us as well. But yeah, that was wild. Definitely got an explosive start from my opponent, and dealing with that is pretty rough. So they're going to swing in with the Zacian this turn, 230 damage that we're going to be eating. We have Mallow and Lana. I can't Marnie then because I have to Mallow and Lana and hope that they don't gust it. So I'm going to have to get another, well, they got the Fion, but they don't have a bench space for the Fion really. So I think we're more or less okay. And we just got to hope that they don't have double custom catcher again. Maybe they prized one. Maybe it's in the bottom of their deck or something like that. Hope they don't play great catcher. Hope they can't find a switch. Something like that. Could just retreat and Marnie. We'll bench the Grookey. I think we just have to Mallow and Lana because they could just retreat into the Duskmane and end the game. So we're going to Mallow and Lana and heal. And I've got both Mallow and Lanas in my hand. Yeah, we're just going to go there into our other guy. And Calming Hurricane. For 150, I don't think it's worth accelerating. I don't really need anything. Just dealing our 120 damage. Hoping that they don't have Ghost, Switch, so on and so forth. Now after this guy gets hit, this Rillaboom could theoretically attack. I don't think that I can necessarily afford to do that. Is a nice switch though there, and if I have to deal with a full Metal Wall GX, I am going to be very unhappy. But at the very least, this Zacian should go down, and they're giving me the well played, so it looks like they've got it. Excellent double custom catcher on my guy, and that is the power of Zacian, that's for sure. So very well played there by my opponents. Their deck really popped off, and cool to see a Lucario and Melmetal version of the Zacian deck really take control and be aggressive. I have not seen a version of this deck that I really loved yet, so that was definitely interesting to see. Rolling on, let's try another one and see if we can't get a little bit more established there. Hopefully we don't get run off the field. I was talking to some people on the Twitch chat when I was streaming the other day. People were wondering, is it optimal to go first or second with this deck? Still optimal to go first because you want to deny other decks the opportunity to go first. Even if you can't use your super growth on the first turn of the game, going first, it's still good to allow to not allow your opponent to get a turn 1 energy onto an Arceus Dagopalkia, to not allow your opponent's evolution deck to get basics down to start evolving on turn 2. I still think it's correct to choose to go first, just to deny your opponents the opportunity to go first, since almost every other deck in standard format would undoubtedly want to go first. So I think by denying your opponent that, you're still putting yourself at an advantage. So let's see what we got here. No supporters turn 1, but that's okay. We can just go get ourselves Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor-GX, and can pretty gladly just switch there. Energy down, Big Charm, Chaotic Swell, pass. See what my opponents has from there. We can start to use Super Growth, Cynthia Caitlin to draw some cards. Fion, very good. I mean, they could just push my Grookey back up into the active, which, oh yeah, they got. That's cool. And research. And it looks like we are playing against a Zacian deck again. This might be more traditional, or not traditional, but a more popular, I would say, Arceus Palkia version. We will have to see. But Zacian is definitely the most hyped card out of Sword and Shield. It's absolutely everywhere right now. And there it is, beautiful full art version. Gotta like that. And Jirachi is just seeing more play than ever. And no Energy Excel off of that. Got a Grass Energy to retreat. That's nice. I think I'm going to just get rid of the Chaotic Swell and draw some cards. Excellent. We can retreat to the Grookey and get ourselves a Super Growth to get Rillaboom into play. Next turn, we're good to start attacking. And as we can see, this is kind of more par for the course. I don't think that they're going to end up attacking with Zacian this turn. Well, I said that, but maybe. Maybe they will. Usually they go for Alter Creation GX, but I think I must have missed the memo, because apparently the Alter Creation GX version is not popular anymore. The Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor deck has a very decent time against the decks that use Alter Creation, because you have that luxury of time to get your board position set up, and then usually by the time that both decks start swinging, you are able to use a Tropical Hour GX. But any deck that's going to put a ton of pressure on your Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor is going to be tough, because you're just trying to set up, and you can't really afford to just go down 3 prizes real quick like that. You need that little buffer space of like 3 turns. And judging by the fact that we've got power plants in this version of the deck as well, I'm thinking that maybe there's not. I don't know. The Aurora Energy is telling me that there is Arceus Palkia in this deck, but power plants, maybe not. Maybe this is a Lucario Melmetal version again. I can't make this stuff up, chat. I mean, I can't make this. This is insane. I'm cool, bro. We're going. All right. If at first you don't succeed, we're gonna try again. This is. I promise the deck is. I mean, that's just me getting bodied out here. That's just what it's been like this week, to be honest. But third time is a charm, as they say. We're going to give it one more go and see if maybe we don't get just absolutely blasted to the moon by a Zacian on turn 2. That'd be great. You know, if my Rillaboom just gets to live longer than a turn, then I'd be pretty stoked on that. So we're going first again. And we've got Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor, Grookey, really just all the key fellas that we want. A nice little mulligan. Hopefully my opponent's deck is not fire type. It's got fire sleeves. It's looking like Zacian ADP. All right, we've got another go at a Zacian deck, and I think we've got a pretty decent shot at being able to beat the, like I said, Arceus Palkia versions of the deck. But that aggression, I mean, really just any deck that's going to be attacking me turn 2 for 230 damage is going to be very stressful for our deck to deal with, because our deck's just not really built to be able to withstand that kind of pressure in the early turns of the game. So we're just doing our best to try and weather the storm, more or less, while our opponent sets up, and then we have a very strong late game. If we can get the Rillaboom to stick, we can get enough grass energy into play, it could be very overwhelming for an opponent after you Tropical Hour GX. Now, the poor thing about Tropical Hour GX is that it shuffles all the energy back into the deck. A deck like Zacian can just use Intrepid Sword and kind of give a turn back, and then take all those metal energies you shuffled in and put them back onto the Zacian using Intrepid Sword. It's just such a powerful ability on a basic Pokemon. And like we saw, just getting your Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutors damaged like that can be really tough to deal with because you don't have any great ways to heal. You have Calming Hurricane, can heal 30 damage. You have Mallow Lana, can heal 120. But none of that really matters when you're getting hit for 230, right? I mean, 230 damage, if you heal 120, you still have 110 damage on you, and you can get cleaned up for 3 prizes. You also have no way to one-hit KO a Zacian early, right? I mean, you have ways to one-hit KO Zacians later in the game, which is cool. You can take big one-hit knockouts with your Shaymin Prism Star, which is neat. If you have the Venusaur and Snivy, you can use that effectively. But there is just this this damage cap early. You're just locked in at like 150 damage, and that's not doing anything to a well, we got Marnied into a pretty bad hand here, but we are going to start at least thinning our deck out. My opponent looks like they are going with a typical Arceus Dialga Palkia strategy here, so that's cool for us, and we are probably going to at least get to voltage beats like a couple of times before our Rillaboom gets double custom catchered out and just absolutely demolished. That'd be fantastic. Now, if we do get Fioned here, that's fine. I'll just send up my own Rowlet and an Exeggutor on the bench, which is why I grabbed it, because you got to watch out for Fion. This is a very popular card right now. Almost every deck is playing it for that Whirlpool Suction ability, making me switch my Pokemon that's in the active with one of my bench Pokemon. And that's just very disruptive, very strong for being able to gust around big threats that you can't one-hit KO. So we are going to get to accelerate once with the Rillaboom, and as we could see, next turn they will probably use Ultimate Ray instead of going in with Brave Blade. If they do go in with Brave Blade, it's fine because they don't have any way to one-hit KO my Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor with the Big Charm on it. So we are going to probably be able to make it through the turn, and then we can Tropical Hour GX and shuffle all their energy into the deck. What we really want them to do is just use all of their Metal Saucers. That'd be great, right? Please, use all your Metal Saucers before my Tropical Hour GX. I would love that. Sure enough, we are getting Whirlpool Suctioned. That's fine. And there is Shrine of Punishment. That is not fine, because that makes it so that my opponent can one-hit KO my Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor with Brave Blade next turn, and I don't have a way around it. So I have to accelerate these energy into play. My Marnie hand that I got Marnied into is not strong. I think I'm going to bench the Shaymin Prism Star, and then we just have to hit with Calming Hurricane and hope that off of the one-card hand my opponent has, that they are not going to be using Metal Saucer, Energy Attachment for turn, Switch, and Zacian Brave Blade for 260 damage. This is just what we need to happen. There are plenty of draw cards in this deck, but there is enough fluff in it that if you do get Marnied early on, you can get stuck in a suboptimal hand like this. Now, Quick Ball, Tag Call, any of the supporters that are in my deck would get me out of this hand, and we are constantly thinning. There's a Marnie. Hey, sometimes a little push from your opponent get you in there too, which is good. And there's the Swell, Marnie, cool, Grass Energy, Big Charm. That's all fine. It looks like they are going to be using, Vitality Band. So that's why the Big Charms are so important, because they stop your guys from getting knocked out, not only by Shrine, but also the Vitality Bands, Zacian V. See that happening quite a bit. And this turn, I can actually just dump all my opponent's energy back into the deck. So this is kind of what I wanted to show you guys. This is the game state that we have been trying to achieve here for the last couple of games, is that the ADP, the Ultra Creation, the Ultimate Ray, you shuffle all their energy in, and hopefully you win the game. It's not that bad of a gig, and I'm going to take 3 prizes doing it, so that's okay. Even though I do have all of this energy here, the hope is that by making them shuffle all of their energy into the deck, maybe they will not be able to respond with a Zacian V. So we're going to take this knockout. They're going to shuffle all their energy in. And then we just want to pivot to a Shaymin and take a knockout on somebody next turn with a Shaymin Prism Star. That would be sick. So we're going to make them shuffle. Hopefully they don't have the double saucer. They don't have any metal energies in the discard pile right now. And we get to take 3 prizes here. So that's really strong. And then I'm hoping that I just get to survive a turn so that I can Mallow and Lana this thing to the bench, bring the Shaymin Prism Star into the active, and maybe take a key knockout now that I have 7 energy in play. And we're just hoping that Shaymin Prism Star can kind of take us there. I think this is another reason why the deck just needs 4 copies of Switch, because we really want to be able to switch or Mallow and Lana into the Venusaur and Snivy Tag Team GX. Use the Shining Vine ability to bring up somebody like Zacian and then just knock it over with Flower Storm for somewhere in the ballpark of 300 damage. Right now we have got 210 damage built up on board, which is very good because of, well, 210 damage built up with Flower Storm on board. Once I get 3 more energy in play, then we're going to be at that 300 threshold, which means that we are doing more than enough damage to knock out Zacian V. Another option is that we can just Mallow and Lana and knock out the active. We don't have to knock out the Zacian V this next turn. And discarding a Metal Saucer. That's the kind of thing we want to see for sure. And research with no actual metal energies hitting the bin there, which is very good for us. It means they would have to pretty much day-to-day change in order to get enough metal energies into the discard pile to potentially be able to double Metal Saucer this turn. Also, with 2 Metal Saucers in the discard pile now, it's making it even more unlikely that they're going to be hitting that combo. So I think that the Rowlet Alolan Exeggutor is going to live. If I heal 120 damage off it, it'll have 80 damage. It does still get one hit and like KO'd by a Zacian, so there's not really even any point in using the Mallow and Lana other than to just heal. So I could see a play where we Mallow and Lana into the Venusaur and Snivy and try to gust up the Zacian, and they're just going to scoop it up. I mean, that's it's as easy as that. Just, you know, get that GX attack launched. Your opponent might just scoop up their cards. So we'll show off one more game with the Boombox deck, see if we can go an even 2-2. I was feeling confident about closing that game out, especially with the Shaymin Prism Star sticking on the bench there. Looks like we were playing maybe a mirror match. I see Lightning in their deck, so Drag for Life. I definitely played against Drag for Life quite a bit. Also a viewer of the Twitch stream, so awesome stuff to be playing what may be a mirror match here. So that is definitely a little bit nerve-wracking. Now going first in the mirror match is probably a disadvantage, but let's see. We got tag calls in the opening hand, exactly what you want, which is why we're playing 4 of them, so that you can guarantee yourself to go get your Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor-GX. And I did see the Lightning Energy, so maybe Drag for Life is going to be playing the Rayquaza. The Rayquaza in the deck could be pretty tough for us to deal with. So let's go get this guy. Then we've got Mallow and Lana's as well. I think we're just getting 2 Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutors, and just going to be slapping those into play. Venusaur and Snivy also really good. Energy to retreat. And that seems fine. Next turn, we're going to use Super Growth. They're probably going to be able to pull off the turn 1 Super Growth. So I'm hoping that I can get the Tropical Hour GX before them. I mean, both of us are going to be aiming for the Tropical Hour GX, and that Tropical Hour GX is going to be such a huge momentum swing in this match because it's going to force all of the energy back into the deck. So I'm really hoping that I can maybe establish something where I get 2 Rillabooms in play, and I think that that might be my best way to win the game, is by getting 2 Rillabooms, because that's going to be the only way that I can compete with the fact that my opponent is probably going to be getting that first Tropical Hour GX. And they've got Super Growth into Rillaboom, and I am a step behind now. In this oddly peculiar match here, the Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor mirror match, I do feel like going second might be ideal because you get the first Rillaboom in play. But in every other match, that is not necessarily the case. So I think we're going to be going energy onto our benched Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor, and I can just Energy Recycler that energy back into the deck. It's the only Energy Recycler that I get. So I think I want to just research, try to find a Thwackey or something, yeah, and then we can work towards getting 2 Rillabooms into play. So we're definitely just rocking with that, and then we're going to Super Growth and get that second Rillaboom evolved up. Well, second Thwackey evolved up, and then into Rillaboom. And then we're just kind of admitting that this thing is going to take a hit. I do have Tag Call in my hand, so I can get Mallow and Lana to heal and switch. And then I do want to get 2 Rillabooms set up, but it looks like my opponent is also working on getting 2 Rillabooms set up. So not exactly sure what's... Huh. Okay. Now that they've accelerated on Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor, it looks like they are going straight for the Rayquaza engine, which is really interesting. I was expecting to see more of like, you know, more of a Tropical Hour GX thing going on, but it looks like my opponent has no intention of using Tropical Hour GX. They are just trying to slam the field with Rays and get as much energy as they possibly can into play using Rayquaza. So I have to be careful. This board position is getting really, really gnarly and really scary quickly. And I think that they should be in the ballpark to take some pretty serious one-hit knockouts this next turn. So let's go. I mean, taking the Shaymin Prism Star out of the equation is really good. So we could Tag Call. And we're going to get Mallow and Lana and Mewtwo and Mew. Tell you what, Mewtwo Mew is not a card that I have used yet in my my playtesting, but cool card. It does have its purpose, you know. And then we can Voltage Beat, accelerate some energies onto this guy. We're going to Mallow and Lana and heal the active, discarding probably Dedenne and the Mewtwo there. And we have to knock out the Shaymin Prism Star because it's just more energy. So I guess theoretically they could deal... I'm going to attach this energy here. Theoretically, they could deal, what, if they accelerate 5 energy into play, it's 150 plus 3. 5 energy into play is 150 plus 369, 240. I mean, I guess if they get a Rayquaza and both Rillabooms and a manual attachment, I guess my guy's going down, but I think I have to just like hope that that's not the situation. If that all does happen, I probably won't be able to use my Tropical Hour GX, and I will just have to go in with Tropical Hour GX. I will have to just Tropical Hour GX for just 200 and hope that that is enough to get us there. So I'm hoping that they just don't have the second Rillaboom in this hand, or that they don't have the Rayquaza, because they could Rayquaza more energy into play as well. I mean, there's 4 grass in the discard here. If they could just stay at, what, 369, 12, 15, 18. If they could just stay at 180 this turn, oh, we're in there. And we should just win this game now because we're going to Tropical Hour GX and shuffle all their energy back into the deck. We can Marnie them too. We should be cool. We haven't given up a prize yet, so we're in a great position. And I get to take a knockout while I do this, which is just insane. So we're going to accelerate first, Voltage Beat, 2 energy. I am running critically low on energy at this piece, at this point. So we can just Marnie both of us. And we get the Tropical Hour GX double Rillaboom as well with the Big Charm too. Looking pretty saucy there. So we've got this. And get more energy into play. I'm out of energy recovery now, though, so I do have to tread very carefully. But I think we should be good. Potentially, I want to save my final energies for knocking this out with a... Well, if I knock this out, I would want to knock this out with maybe a Shaymin Prism Star or something. So let's check the deck real quick. Shaymin Prism Star is prized. So we'll grab Dhelmise V. There's actually, well, I can get the Dhelmise V with a quick ball if I want to. We'll grab the Grass Energy. It actually seems stronger. And then, yeah, my Shaymin Prism Star is prized. So I might just take my Shaymin Prism Star this turn. And I'm not going to use the second Rillaboom. We're just going to shuffle all their energy back into their deck. And I'm going to save the Big Charm. I don't think that the Big Charm necessarily would make a difference here. I'll save it for potentially somebody else. And kind of see where do we end up going. Because they could just deal 150 damage to me anyway if they attack with Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor. If they take that knockout, then we might have a hard time winning the game. Now, we can accelerate all of our energy onto Venusaur and Snivy, which could be very good for us, because then we can swing for 160 and then just gust it up and swing for 160 again. So, with both Rillabooms in play, that is an option for us to do. Now, what's unfortunate is that I do not have a route to, knock out Rayquaza in one hit next turn or something like that, and we are very low on energy. So, it's going to be a tough one for sure, and I do have to look out for potentially getting just out-tempoed by another Rayquaza GX, but we'll see. I have to swing, hope that my opponent can't take a knockout, and go from there. So that's what we've got. They've got 3 prizes remaining. I've got 3 prizes remaining. Even match. My voltage beats. Can do this here, and then we can do it again. And we've got Big Charms on these guys. And then I don't want to... I could Shining Vine, actually, and knock out the Dedenne. Actually, I think Shining Vine, knock out the Thwackey is optimal. That way they cannot get the double Rillaboom play. And then we Shining Vine, knock out the Dedenne for game. So I think this actually gives us the best chance of winning. We Force Dump. And then all we need to do is Force Dump that Dedenne for game. That way there's no Mallow and Lana shenanigans either. If I hit into the Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor, maybe I get punished by a Mallow and Lana or something like that. Whereas here, all I need is Grass Energy, and we can win on Dedenne. Now, I do have 20 cards left in my deck. Oh, they're going to GX me. But that's fine if they GX me, because I have 2 Rillabooms in play. Right? Or do you need 6 Grass Energy? 3 extra energy. So they can GX me, and they can throw all my energy back into the deck. Which is going to be really interesting, right? But that's fine, because I was able to establish the double Rillaboom and do that. And they're not using Marnie, so unless they have Reset Stamp, I'm going to be chilling with this hand here. And we should be Gucci. So let's see. All right, Tropical Hour GX. All my energy goes back to the deck, and we should just have game in hand with the double Voltage Beat, Grass Energy, bring up the Dedenne. And we are seeing here just the power of this deck. I mean, Drag for Life, excellent list as well, and very cool to see in action. And then we use the Shining Vine to bring up the Dedenne. Well played for sure. And it was cool because you got to see both of these decks in action, right? You got to see the Rayquaza version there, and then you got to see the more Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor focused version. Both decks very, very cool, and I think that's the The Rillaboom deck, the Boombox deck, is definitely better than I would have ever thought. Tropical Hour GX is just such a gnarly GX attack, being able to throw all the energy back into the deck, and then having the Rillaboom there with Voltage Beat does really just juice your field with a ton of energy, which is a lot of fun to play. Definitely recommend trying it out. Thank you all so much for watching the video. Make sure to like the video, sub to the channel, ring that bell, and also make sure to check out the Twitch stream where I stream live Pokemon trading card game content every single weekday, twitch.tv/TrickyJim. If you're looking for Pokemon trading card game online codes to juice up your account with some pretty busted cards, make sure to check out fullgripcodes.com. The link is literally right below my picture here. Also, in the description below, fullgripcodes.com, instant email delivery for PTCGO codes, and then of course fullgripgames.com for all of your trading card game singles. Y'all take it easy and have a great day. I'll catch you live on Twitch. Take it easy. Peace.